In the meantime, minority leader in Ghana minority lawmakers rather in Ghana have expressed concern over the plan by ECOWAS to potentially launch a military action in Niger as part of efforts to restore constitutional order in that country. The lawmakers are demanding Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, to immediately stop all preparatory mobilization towards deploying Ghanaian soldiers. The country's minority lawmakers hold the view that diplomacy and constructive dialogue should be explored. Ghana's minority lawmakers say scarce resources of the state should be directed at resolving the country's economic challenges following a $3 billion International Monetary Fund bailout rather than getting entangled in a proxy geopolitical confrontation. Those were their words. Well, for more on this and developments in Niger Republic, I'm joined tonight by two gentlemen. Leonard Anyogo is an international affairs analyst, and Ogbobe Fidelis is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Kofi. It's good to be here.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
We have just you, Leonard, for now. Well, the regional, West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS has responded to the move by the Nigerian military junta by bringing treason charges against ousted President Mohamed Bazoum with condemnation. Now, how do you rate this reaction? Is that the right one, or are there other ways that they can react instead of bringing these charges against Bazoum?
Well, first and foremost, we must understand that, including ECOWAS, that there's a de facto government in Niger. Illegal as it is, or unwelcome as it is, there's a de facto government in Niger. The military junta are effectively in governance, and so they will be dictating the pace. Now, ECOWAS' position has not changed. What ECOWAS is asking is that they should return power to Bazoum. They ousted the democratically elected president. But I tell you, from my experience in international affairs, that is not going to happen so soon. And I don't see the possibility of it happening. Now, we are entering the second stage, the phase of the possibility of trying the ousted president for high treason, as they call it. So we must understand one thing. ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community must understand one thing. There is an effective government in Niger Republic as we speak, and that's why they have formed an interim government. And so, to me, I think that ECOWAS has to change negotiation, because oftentimes when there is a military regime or junta that has come to power, what ECOWAS or international community would do is to negotiate and ask, when are you going to return power to the civilian government? Because now the whole situation is very complex. I do not see the possibility of the coup leaders or the government in Niger, led by the present junta, military junta, handing over power to the ousted government. So ECOWAS' position has never changed. They want the ousted democratically elected government to be reinstated. Incidentally, in 2019, while I took up the membership of the Chatham House in London, we have done a whole lot of research in the African continent. Now, we always talk about is a coup or undemocratic change of government. We do not look at the root cause. Do we have good governance? Because in my tour of duty, especially in the African continent, the essence of politics is a vehicle, and the destination is good governance. So while ECOWAS is looking at the effect, we also have to look at, is good governance being delivered across the African continent? Now, if you look at the Francophone countries, Mali is under military rule, Burkina Faso, and of course, you just heard there was an attempted coup in Sierra Leone. So the dynamics has changed. So while we are looking at effecting or using the deterring as a deterrence of this military coup, we must also look at the issue of good governance. Has that been delivered? Is it just politics? We have seen attempts by some leaders, especially in Africa, that have perpetrated themselves in power. So these are all critical areas that ECOWAS must actually have to look and bring it on the table.
All right, we now have lawyer and public affairs analyst Ogbobe Fidelis. Fidelis, if you can hear me, thank you very much for your time. What are your thoughts on the situation in Ghana where minority lawmakers, I'm guessing of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, are telling the government to keep the money at home? We have a $3 billion IMF facility. We need to make sure that we are on time with our payments and utility of any funds that comes into the country. So what are your thoughts on what the Ghanaian lawmakers are saying? And also, what solution do you think they're looking for from their government in terms of diplomacy and alternative to the military intervention in Niger? Fidelis.
Thank you for having me. I agree with the minority leader in Ghana in all its entirety that the dialogue is the best way to go. But unfortunately, the leaders of ECOWAS decided to place threat first before talking about the issue of dialogue. For example, in Nigeria, where I am currently, Section 19 of 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, subsection 1, talks about the national interest. Subsection 1D is talking about the application of dialogue, diplomacy, reconciliation, conciliation, arbitration, adjudication before we can talk about the deployment of military force. We know that issue of war today is very, very expensive. And considering the economic quagmire we're experiencing today in the West Africa, to go and begin to pursue and prosecute the war in Niger Republic is going to be catastrophic. Considering the present polarity in the world politics today, where we have no state actors becoming more powerful than the states, they are working beyond the background. So as it is now, it's very difficult for us to determine the military strength of these coup juntas actually getting in touch with these people and apply all the available resources to ensure that dialogue, reconciliation, and negotiation will have the best of place. West African states today, as you see, many of them depends on foreign intervention for them to actually finance their budget, both the capital and the current. So the minority leader in Ghana today, what he's saying that let us come to the table. But unfortunately, the West African ECOWAS as a head of state, they place the issue of force first before talking about negotiation. And you cannot be threatening me that you have deployed or you're about to deploy forces against me and you expect me to come to the negotiation table. So we're not going to start a war, but we don't know actually when the war is going to end. It's just like a game theory, because the driving force in every war today has to do with the issue of economy. And the economic situation in West Africa today is not stable. Therefore, I am in full support of the minority leader in Ghana, advocating that there is a need for us to exhaust all the available means in dialoguing with these coup juntas in the Niger Republic before we begin to think of how to make deployment or intervene. Moreover, under the customary international law, today there is this issue of non-interference against the state policy, whether are they democratic or are they under the military regime. So to begin to threaten this group of persons that are going to deploy forces against them, to the best of my knowledge, is a longer approach which have already backfired and going to cast a high level of escalation. You can start a war, but it will make difficult for you to determine the way and manner you are going to end that war. So in my submission, I submit more respectfully to the head of state.
Yeah, thank you, Fidelis. Let me quickly bring in Leonard here. You've heard us report just in our news tonight, Leonard, that the lawmakers in Ghana are expressing concern over the plans by ECOWAS. And indeed, their country is a big part of that. The president was in Abuja for that meeting of the ECOWAS authority chaired by President Bola Tinubu. So what are your thoughts on the concerns expressed by the lawmakers in Ghana regarding the potential a military action by ECOWAS to restore constitutional order in Niger? Fidelis, and Leonard, please, sorry.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, I can tell you for free that the ECOWAS, the parliaments of these respective countries, for sure, of course, starting with the Nigerian parliament, the Nigerian National Assembly, Ghana and some other countries that have got in touch. I have a couple of friends across the West African sub-region. I can tell you that they will never support military intervention in Niger. Now, if you place that vis-a-vis with the ECOWAS heads of government, the question is that, can ECOWAS heads of government authorize military intervention where their parliament is kicking against? So Ghana is passing through a lot of economic crunch at the moment, just like Nigeria and some other West African countries. And let us quickly understand that the essence of ECOWAS is actually economic ties, not even political. Now, over the time, they have evolved to democratizing the region, of course, which is commendable. But the chief and primary aim of ECOWAS is for economic ties within the region. Now, just like I said, this respective parliament in each of these states, each of these ECOWAS states, will never, I think they will never accept or confer authority on their president to go to war through ECOWAS. Now, having said that, I think ECOWAS have to change tactics, have to draw out a plan. I mean, in conjunction with the military junta, to quickly return power to government. Let us do things that are feasible.
All right.
Because I do not see how you force the military junta to hand over power to the ousted civilian president. I think there will be peace.
Okay.
Remember that it was ousted by the chief guard.
Okay, Leonard, we have to go. It could be argued that along the line, ECOWAS decided to bring in, political stability, democracy, security into the treaty. And some would argue that, okay, in the 90s, you had a military intervention in Liberia and later the Sierra Leone. But I wish you had more time to look at that so we could take your thoughts on it. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. We've listened to Leonard Ayongo, international affairs analyst, with Jonathan Worry in Nigeria's Delta State, and Ogbobe Fidelis, a lawyer and public affairs analyst who joined us from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.